Hey, good evening. It's Saturday, September 26th. We face a heavy time in our nation right now, as the United States. The hope for our country is the Church of Christ believing in the gospel enough to live it out in front of a very broken world. We live in a time when someone who championed the death of young children, who championed the destruction of marriage, is honored in a funeral, lying in state. Someone who replaces her, who stands for life, is going to be the object of hatred and scorn and ridicule. And she'll be called a bigot. She'll be called a hater. She'll be called someone who doesn't love anything but evil. Brothers and sisters, she's going to be called those things because of an association with the Christian faith. Those words will be targeted at people who believe the Bible, because we have come that far. We have become soft enough ourselves in the presentation of the gospel that we live in a world where the gospel has gotten away from our culture, where truth has gotten away from our culture. Absolute truth has gotten away from our culture. And a kind of moral relativism that allows us to ignore history, to change the way that life is done. The only hope that we have is being faithful to the gospel. The early church was able to impact a very evil Roman Empire, more evil than what we have now. Impact that empire for good, and they didn't do violence and they didn't vote. They just used the powerful weapon of the gospel of Jesus Christ and lives that were impacted by that gospel. Jesus clearly says that all men will know that we're his disciples if we have love one for another. Do we have the courage to love in such a way, love each other in such a way, so that others will be drawn to what we believe? That's the hope for our church, that's the hope for your families, and ultimately it's the hope for our nation. And that's the thought for tonight. Rest well as you prepare for worship tomorrow. Let's pray for God to give us the courage to live out the gospel, its truth, and live for the glory of God. You have a good night. Bye-bye.